What's going on, everyone? Big news today as Blizzard has dropped an update regarding some changes that they're making to Diablo 4 for its release date following the feedback that they've gotten from the beta testing that went on. They go on to tell everybody here that the changes that have been made are going to be in the update release for the game on June 6th. So any updates and changes that have been made in these notes, we will see them in the live version of the game on release. There's a variety of changes that have gone in here, including class balance. So let's dive into it. First one are dungeon layouts. One of the most common pieces of feedback we've received is that players felt they were doing a lot of backtracking with certain dungeons. This is absolutely true, especially those ones that had like the skeletal crypt towers off onto the side rooms. And if you missed one and you got to the end, you then had to go all the way back for it to kill one. And that was really annoying. So what they've done is they've optimized multiple dungeons across all zones to minimize the need for backtracking. In Fractured Peaks alone, these are some of the dungeons: Caldera Gate, Defiled Catacombs, Derelict Lodge, Forbidden City, Hoarfrost Demise, Immortal Emanation, Core Dragon Barracks, Smallwood, and Rhymescar Caverns. Our primary goal with the layout changes was to reduce certain kinds of backtracking which detract from a player's experience. An example of this is that players previously needed to enter side rooms to interact with structure objectives, like those skeleton towers, causing them to retread the same path. Now, many of our structure objectives have been repositioned along main dungeon pathways, making them easier for players to reach and allowing them to readily explore the dungeon after defeating the structure. This is good. This is going to create a more consistent and better flow of a gameplay experience for players as they're going through the dungeons, just having those events be on the primary path. And then, you know, if people want to deviate and explore for more elites or chests or something like that, they can do so without feeling like, oh, but did I miss doing any of the event stuff? So I think this is a good change that they're making. Dungeon events: the chance for an event to spawn inside of a dungeon has increased from 10% to 60%. Now, I'm assuming this is the events that happen when you click on a shrine or click on a chest and waves of mobs begin to spawn out of the ground and attack you, and then you get to get the loot or get the shrine after you finish completing all the waves. And not butcher spawning. I'm not sure that I would like to encounter the butcher 50% more often with that, like 50% increase. Having the butcher spawn 60% of the time would be a little annoying. So hopefully these dungeons events are purely just for the shrines and chests, and the butcher is its own completely separate entity, and I imagine it is. Dungeon gameplay: to reduce the need to backtrack, small numbers of straggling monsters will seek out the player to help complete the kill all monster objective. Great. Awesome. So they're going to incorporate, you know, a little more AI sense into the mobs and have them pursue you a little bit more. When Animus is gathered, the player and nearby allies will gain 10 resource, and it will reduce all active cooldowns by 1 second. These are going to be zoomy. These are going to be very zoomy, and Whirlwind Barbs are going to love this. Just keep whirlwinding. Just keep going. Just keep spinning, baby. Depositing Animus channel time was reduced from 3 seconds to 0 seconds. Awesome. The time to rescue was reduced from 3 to 1.5 seconds. Awesome. Could be 0, honestly. Just, you know, click and go. But, you know, at, you know, half of the duration, that's an improvement. I'm happy with it. All rescue objectives now drop a health potion upon completion. While carrying the ancient statue, bloodstone, mechanical box, or stone carving, you will receive a momentum bonus, granting a 25% move speed to increase you and nearby allies. So this is really awesome, but I also immediately, my first thought is, all right, the play is going to be to get the first box and then don't take it off for the entirety of the dungeon until you clear all the rooms, so that you can just take a free 25% move speed bonus, which, if that's what they want us to have, great. Hey, I'm all for it. Being able to zoom around the rooms a lot faster will be a lot more fun for a lot of people, particularly those classes that don't have as much movement capabilities to them. Necros and Druid. But, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, why would I take the box off until I'm done clearing all the rooms? I get 25% move speed. So, you know, that'll just be one of those things with it, but I don't think it'll be, you know, a huge issue at all. Pedestals have had their channel time reduced from 2 seconds to 0 seconds. Great. Returning a portable object to its pedestal will now fully restore health, resource, potions, and reset cooldowns for all nearby players. Cool, cool, cool. All doors will now generate a minimap ping when they're opened. All structure objectives in dungeons now have an additional combat mechanic you must overcome. Ooh, interesting. While our dungeons offer a variety of objectives to complete, player feedback stated that the action of completing each objective felt tedious. A lot of them were very just mundane, and a lot, you know, the skeleton ones, for example, were just, you know, killing them. They didn't really have any other interaction to them. Some of the ones that were just like clicking the switches on the floor were very tedious and not very fun to deal with, particularly their channel times being in play with them. So we'll see what they do overall with that. We hope that providing bonuses such as the increase to mobility while carrying objective items will streamline and vary the experience of completing objectives. I think that'll definitely be a nice thing to it as well. Class changes. This is the big juice. This is the meat. This is the stuff people complained about so much, was the balance. Classes. General stuff. Effects like stun and freeze can be applied to elite monsters twice as long before they become unstoppable. Nice, nice, nice. So before they get the immunity diminishing return. So stun users and freezers, rejoice. Reviewed class skills to confirm that all classes have access to sufficient skills that remove control impairing effects. There are definitely classes that have much more readily available and more frequent uses of CC impairment break, so this is a good thing that they looked at. Many legendary powers have had updates to their effectiveness. Now, I like that they're being very vague about this so that people can't, I'm sure it'll get data mined at some point, but in general, you know, keeping it very vague in terms of, you know, letting people know that legendary powers have been adjusted, they have been tuned. There were a lot of lackluster legendaries. There were some legendaries that just had really pointless, ineffective effects on them due to their scaling in part, but also just the way they worked. So knowing that they've adjusted some of those legendary powers early on is really nice as well. Barbarian, a flat 10% passive damage reduction has been added for the Barbarian class. Some skill tree passes have had their damage reduction effects reduced to compensate. Okay, so Barbarians are going to get a flat 10% DR early on. So level 1, you're immediately tankier. You have 10% more damage reduction, but they lowered some of the damage reduction effectiveness that you can get throughout the tree as you level. So overall, Barb is going to be tankier baseline than it was in the beta. One thing is that this will definitely have really strong overlap with Challenging Shout. Challenging Shout was already an incredibly powerful damage reduction tool that you had access to, but this will 100%, you know, make that more effective, but it's going to make it maybe not as necessary, hopefully, because I would hate to have to take Challenging Shout for every single build because of how effective it was, because Barb felt too squishy to people that they felt the need to only take, like, Challenging Shout was mandatory as your only defensive every single time. So hopefully this helps with that a little bit and just stabilizes the defensive capability of Barbarian and allows a little more flexibility in terms of which defensive traits you take. Whirlwind skill now does deals more damage and will consume more fury, so they're upping the damage of Whirlwind, so they're gonna make Whirlwind a much more impactful ability. It's all those slam numbers got people talking, but Whirlwind now deals more damage and will consume more fury. We don't know how much more fury, right? They don't keep it, you know, they keep it very vague here. It could be a lot, it could just be 2, 1, who knows, but they got to increase the fury consumption while also increasing the damage on it. Double swing skill enhancement refunds its full fury cost when used on a stunned or knocked down enemies. So previously, double swing refunded 10 of its 25 fury when you used it on a stunned or knocked down enemy. It will now refund the full cost. So when you are using double swing on a stunned target, you are going to get all of your fury back. So it's basically a free use. So you can just infinitely double swing a stun target. As long as you have something CC'd, you can use double swing as much as you want, and so long as you have 25 rage, the base amount, in order to use it. This is going to be really nice when paired with the barbarian capstone at the bottom of the tree, where your damage is increased for core skills by 135%, but your fury cost is increased by 100%. So now double swing would cost 50, but you're going to get the full fury cost back. So you're going to get a fully juiced double swing, getting all of its cost refunded every single time you use it. And so that's going to be really interesting and fun to use. And I was already planning to go double swing on my barbarian, because it was originally going to be, you know, my masochist, my melee masochism taking over that we were going to engage with there. But this is really cool, and I'm looking forward to that. Druid. All companion skills will now deal heavily increased damage. Companion skills were a hot topic for a lot of people during the beta. They felt like they weren't very impactful. There were some very specific scenarios in which you were able to make them impactful through a very niche set combination of legendaries. But this is going to improve companion effectiveness, hopefully damage-wise, baseline across the board. So I know Druid users who were wanting to use companions more are going to be rejoicing. Now, hopefully they didn't buff them too much and they're now just going to be broken, but this will definitely help Druid early on for anybody that doesn't want to go pulverize. All ultimate skills have had their cooldowns reduced. This is good. I felt like Druid's ultimate skills were way too long compared to others, while not being, like, you know, necessarily better than other classes. You know, all of Druid's ultimates were like 80 to 90 seconds. And then I don't think Barb has one that's more than 60. Things like that. Usability improvements have been made to maul and pulverize. Cool. I wasn't aware of an issue with pulverize myself, but I guess there were some usability issues involving it, so that's interesting. Using a non-shapeshifting skill will transform a druid back into their human form. Huh, okay. I thought this was already doing this, but maybe it was just the simple durational factor on the transformation going back normally. But yeah, so using a non-shapeshifting skill will transform you back to the human form right away, because I guess it wasn't doing that already. A necromancer. Summoned minions will die more often, requiring players to utilize corpses more often. This will be interesting because it definitely felt like during beta, the way corpses were utilized were very memey, and this will hopefully, you know, make people have to put a little more thought into them. But we also don't want it to be so much to the point that other build elements become obnoxious to maintain in order to keep your minions going. But we'll just have to wait and see how these numbers shake out overall with the duration on it. Many bonuses in the Book of the Dead have had their stats increased. Okay, so that's a buff. Damage dealt by corpse explosion skill has been reduced. Makes sense. The brightness of the skeletal warriors and mages has been reduced. Okay. Rogue. Upgrades to the subterfuge skills have had their bonuses increased. What, we're getting rogue buffs? Oh my goodness. Multiple passive skills have had their bonuses increased. Rogues. All imbuement skills have had their cooldowns increased. Oh, okay. That's a nerf. Okay. But rogues coming in with the buffs. Rogues getting a little more power in some of their passives and their subterfuge skills. Although subterfuge aren't really damage skills. Sorcerer. Charged bolts damage was increased and the mana cost to cast has been decreased. Decreased the damage of chain lightning and reduced its effectiveness against bosses. It's fair. Decreased the cooldown for Incinerate's skill enchantment bonus. Firewalls will now spawn underneath enemies more frequently when using its enchantment bonus. Okay, interesting. Increase the lucky hit chance for the meteor skills enchantment bonus. Oh, that's good. This is the one. This one will make this one feel a little more interesting to use as a bonus damage thing. Other than that, not really. Not seeing any nerfs to Sork in any way. I wonder if there will be some more currently undocumented changes that we will see in the final release state of it. But let's see what the devs have to say. Whenever we introduce changes to our classes, it is the goal of making both them and their skills feel impactful and powerful. Your feedback has helped us to uphold this ideal. Some players have adeptly noticed that certain skills were too powerful. One of our goals is for skills is to have them be interesting to wield and interactive in terms of itemization and combat feel. We've made some changes to help in this regard, with one example being the Necromancer's minions. We've made a change that makes them more vulnerable in combat, which will make raising the dead a more active component of the Necromancer's gameplay. Launch is just the first step of our class balance journey, and you can expect further updates that iterate on this pillar of Diablo 4. This is something that I like what they say here, that this is just the first step, because in reality, the release state of Diablo, that's going to be the real beta, because that's going to be where everybody's doing all their testing and all their feedback and getting ready for the seasons to come into play. And seasons are going to be where we're going to see our real big first balance passes. People are going to want their classes to be in a much more ideal spot at that point. So there's going to be a lot more class feedback on release that everybody's going to be clamoring about, trying to have their class be in the best spot possible come time for seasons to begin. The following month that the game releases. UI fixed an issue where the built-in screen radar was not reading key prompts, game option details, and other UI text. Fixed an issue where actions could not be bound to the mouse wheel. Praise be for all the people who were wanting this. This is huge. A lot of people were wanting mouse wheel being able to be a bound element that they could engage with, so that's a big thing for a lot of people. Fixed an issue where evade could not be bound to the right analog stick on controller. Chat will now display on the left side of the screen when using the centered action bar configuration. Fantastic. It was definitely weird having it over on the right side when every game's chat is on the left side. A character's stats will be displayed by default when players click the materials and stats button within their inventory. Okay. The move and interact inputs can now be mapped to one button, while the primary attack input is mapped to a secondary button. Let's go. That is huge. Praise be. So we can have force move, and interact on your left click. All right. You want to have your force move on left click with interact, and then your primary attack is on a different button. Amazing. This is great. The sans serif font used in game has been replaced with a new serif font. There, people complained about the font enough, and there we go. there we go. So hopefully the text is a little bit better now. Encounters fixed multiple issues that allowed bosses like the Butcher to become unresponsive. The Butcher has been reevaluated for difficulty and will present a greater challenge in world tiers 3 and 4. Ooh. Bosses such as Hjort, Malnock, and Venard and others were reevaluated for melee character difficulty. Taking melee into consideration? What? Is this actually an ARPG? Are we sure? When do people ever consider melee's feelings? Whoa. Resulting in changes to attacks and fight mechanics. Fixed an issue where vampire brutes using the shadow enchant affix would chain cast impale. That would be frustrating. Cellars increase the chance for a dungeon event to occur in cellars. Awesome, that makes them more fun to do. Cellars will now consistently reward a chest upon completion. Great, makes them worth going into more. A lot of people were just skipping them during the beta. Fixed an issue where cellars would prematurely be marked as complete. Fixed an issue where the guaranteed elite monster would be absent from a cellar. There you go. General quality of life, fixed an issue where players could increase attack speed by move canceling attacks early. I think this one's a little silly because this thing exists in a lot of ARPGs, but people made so much of a fuss about it that, they fixed it. So no more attack speed increase with move canceling attacks early. Fixed an issue where characters weren't immune and untargetable after loading into an area. Oh, praise be, we've got grace period. This has been huge. The reset dungeon button has been disabled. Wait. I don't like that one. Wait. I liked the reset dungeon button. Wait. No, hold on. Fixed an issue that caused Gale Valley and Sarek Rupture to have less monsters than intended until the campaign quests in those territories were completed. Okay. There you go. And then on the 20th, there's going to be the live stream with Riker, so I'm sure they'll talk about more of this stuff. But that is all of the changes that are going to be in the release that they are confirming right now. These are all changes that will 100% be present in the version of the game that launches. So awesome to see that we're seeing some changes and adjustment. I'm really excited about the barbarian stuff amongst some of the general stuff like the quality of life and UI changes that they've made. So I'm really looking forward to those things. But you know, it's nice to see that we're getting some really good consistent communication and responsiveness to feedback early on, and that's a good sign leading into release and development. But this is great. Really looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us while we go through these notes. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited about from this update and what you're looking forward to, or maybe that you're dreading that has been changed if you felt maybe you're a necromancer and you're not happy about minions now. But thank you all so much for watching. If you want to catch us live on Twitch, we're over at twitch.tv/Zav. Take care and have a good one.